If you want to build real wealth through business acquisitions, you need more than just the occasional deal here and there. You need a pipeline. And in today's video, I'm going to give you my 5-step process I used to build a robust pipeline to buy a profitable business. Let's get to it. Hey everybody, welcome to my channel. I am your host, Leo Landaverde, business broker and commercial lender, helping you buy and scale a profitable business. If you are a small business owner looking to increase your wealth, or a W-2 employee sick and tired of the rat race wanting to get out by buying a profitable business, then you're in the right place. Please subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to hit the bell. You'll be notified every Thursday when new content comes out. Step number 1. You need to define your acquisition criteria, what we call inside of our business acquisition mastery group, your buy box. Defining your buy box is critical. A lot of people go trying to connect with business brokers and sellers without having a real strategy as to what type of business they're looking for. They're hoping to find a business that cash flows and then backing up into something that makes sense for them, and that's not how it works. What you need is a pinpoint targeted criteria that has the geolocation, the cash flow range that you need. Basically, it's your calling card. It's how you come across in the marketplace. It's dictated by your buy box. Everything points to the buy box. What makes you unique as a buyer, one of the concepts that we talk about inside of a group is being a purple cow. That's a great book that came out maybe 20 years ago. It talks about how to make yourself unique in a marketing sense. How are you going to stand out in a very crowded marketplace? Right now, there are a lot of people, real estate investors and high-paid employees flocking into business acquisition. So you got 15 buyers, good buyers for every good deal out there. And the really good deals, they get sold in hours, not days. And most of them are pocket listings. This is nothing like buying real estate. Buying a business is a more sophisticated game, reserved for those who know what they're doing, the private equity groups, the family offices, and those businesses doing roll-ups. So you are at a disadvantage if you don't know how to create a buy box, which is who you are, what you do, how are you going to go about it, what cash you have, what geolocation, and what makes you so unique. What is the strategy for you to make sure that the brokers and the sellers will know that you're a real contender? We spend quite a bit of time inside our group honing in our messaging, your message to the world as an investor. So I realize that some of you are employees trying to figure out how to buy a business without really putting too much attention on themselves. So LinkedIn might not be an option, but there are many ways for you to basically connect with those who need to know, and your buy box is critical. I say often that what you really need is no more than 3 NAICS codes, the 6-digit code that is critical for our research. You need to understand what sectors to focus on based on the purpose, passion, profit, which is the 3 P's that we talk about. The size of the business. Basically, the size of the business is in proportion to the down payment that you have. Take your down payment divided by 0.1 is going to give you kind of an optimal range. If you have $100,000 worth of seasoned down payment money, that equals to about $1 million purchase. But that could also mean a $2 million purchase if it is a 5% down and the seller carries. There are multiple ways that you don't really need 10%. 10% is ideal. Now, there are other ways. Now, do you want to buy a business that is local? Do you want to buy a farther business, a business that is farther away? So the strategy is different if you're buying in your local town within 50-mile radius, and if you're buying a business 200 miles away. But the question that any lender or any broker or any seller is going to want to know is, well, how do you plan to manage a business the farther away? It just adds more to the complexity of buying a business. So at the end of it, what you have is a mission statement for you as an investor as to the type of business that you're buying, which we affectionately called the buy box. Number 2, you're going to have to build deal sourcing strategies. Now, everybody goes to Biz Buy Sell, but do you know that there are 700 other websites where you can go to? There are websites for those who are in the know. There are websites for internet businesses. There are websites for businesses doing $1 million plus EBITDA. There are websites for everybody else. There are websites for manufacturing. And then there are the broker-specific type of websites. They have their own deal flow. Every brokerage is their own mini MLS. One of the strategies that I teach is that you gotta go to the market to befriend the brokers but not for the deals that they have on hand that are in the market, because chances are those are already pre-sold. It's for the business that are coming up, what's in their pipeline. Well, in order for you to build a pipeline, leverage somebody else's pipeline. Think about this. If you had 5 brokers in the industries that you're looking for as per your buy box, and all of them fed you 1 deal a month, think about the power and the power of compounding. So you get 5 brokers giving you a deal a month, that's 5 deals a month. That's without you doing any other direct sourcing into the off markets. So I also take direct outreach, which is really skipping the broker and dealing directly with the sellers on off-market deals. But that requires some knowledge. That requires for you knowing what to say, how to say it, when to say it, what scripts you use, what time of the day. Do some of the owners hang out in Facebook groups? Do some hang out in LinkedIn? Do they hang out in social media at all? Do they only respond to emails? Or do they only respond to mailers? Or both? Networking. In order for you to be successful in your business acquisition game, you have to be go deep in several industries, because you can't be a subject matter expert of everything. It doesn't really work. And the brokers and the sellers for off-market will pick up on that. The more acronyms, the more buzzwords, the more terminology that you drop when you're talking to them, the more sophisticated and the more you're going to be able to connect with them. Because at the end, people do business with people they know, like, and trust. So don't rely on just one method. Use a multi-pronged method. We call it a bifurcated approach, on market and off market simultaneously. Now you got to keep track. I have these worksheets, these tracking sheets that we use to kind of keep track of our deal flow. And at the end of the day, buying a business is a numbers game. I'm going to give you some facts here, some figures. 120 to 1. 100 quality looks at deals, 20 in-depth analysis, 2 offers, 1 gets accepted. That goes to show that buying a business is not for the average person. In fact, only 10% of buyers actually buy a business, which means 98% are sitting on the sidelines, never really buying a business, which makes for a very crowded place. So only 10% of those who actually have the skills and are able to close are the ones who end up buying the businesses, which most newbies can't. Number 3, you need to build relationships with everybody in the business that matters, which is you need to put a deal team together, and you also need to have brokers and sellers relationships. So relationships matter. Now, if you just respond to an ad in Biz Buy Sell and you did nothing more than just respond and never followed up with the broker, you have 0 relationship. Now I'm going to tell you a couple true stories here. I have sold over $100 million worth of deals on the span of multiple years that I've been involved. Now, one of the things that I can tell you is that there are some buyers that over the years I have remembered, because they persistently kept at it, getting to know me, emailing me, calling me, following me on social media, connecting with me on LinkedIn, sending me their buy boxes, staying genuinely interested, complimenting my work. And you know what? After some time, after hearing their messaging for so long, I tend to remember them. I started connecting with them, and some of them end up being buyers for some of the listings that I have, because at any point in time, I have half a dozen listings. Relationships matter. And one of the things that I would say as a tip is offer quick feedback on deals, even if you're going to pass on them. So say you are working with a broker and you solicit one of their SIMs, one of the confidential information memorandums, and they actually send it to you. Always acknowledge receipt, always be courteous, always get back to them. It's a two-way street. So if there's a deal that for whatever reason doesn't fit in your buy box, but I think it's still a good deal, or you think you can give some proactive, positive feedback on some feedback to the broker in whatever way you think is going to help the broker, give it. I think I always appreciate when somebody comes to me and says, "Hey Leo, I really like this deal, but you might want to look into the interim, year to date, something about the balance sheet didn't quite make sense." And sometimes I go back and realize, oh my gosh, somebody caught it. If somebody gives me that kind of feedback, I will respect them for it and I'll remember them, right? And the one thing that you need to understand from the broker standpoint is the only thing that we care about when we're talking to an unknown buyer is, will this buyer close? Do they have the bedside manners? Do they have their wherewithal? Do they have the financial wherewithal, the managerial wherewithal? If I present them in front of the seller and the seller likes them, will they be able to close? Will we be able to find the funding? So be very transparent about your intentions as a buyer. Nobody likes gimmicks. Nobody wants to play games. If you are they're looking for a business to buy, say so. And that'll be evident by your buy box. Strong relationships with brokers are probably the number one way most of my students actually get deals under contract. Because here's the thing that you need to understand about buying a business. The hardest thing you'll ever do, even if you found a seller that wants to sell you their business, is that getting their information may be difficult. And even after you get the tax returns and you do your own valuation, getting them to agree on a fair price can be very, very difficult. And that sometimes may take months, if not years. So when you're dealing with a broker, you don't really know how long that broker has been dealing with the seller, hammering out and getting them to get to a comfortable selling price. Because whatever they think the business is worth is irrelevant. The data is going to show per the comps how much a business is really worth. And that is the hardest thing to convey to a seller. I have worked literally years with some sellers, getting to a place that they're ready to go with an acceptable price range that can be defended and they can be financed. And the number one question that I ask a seller willing to sell their business is, we need to get to a price where the business can afford itself by a healthy debt service coverage ratio and maybe less than what they want to their business to be sold. So number 4 is you got to nurture and qualify leads, okay? Not every deal will be ready to close right away, particularly if you're dealing with off-market deals. Some deals will take time. Sometimes they will take a lot of time. And this is a marathon, not a sprint. So if you come in here with the intention of buy a business and you want to be done and closed within 90 days, you're probably in the wrong place. You probably should buy a fourplex. If you want to buy a meaningful business north of $500,000 worth of seller discretionary earnings, this is going to take a little bit of time. You need to know that going in. You need to be very careful and astute as to analyzing the seller's motivations. Is this business generally ready for sale? Or is the seller just kicking tires, trying to figure out if this is the right time? I cannot tell you how many times I talk to a seller who thinks that they're ready, they tell themselves that they're ready, they go home and talk to their spouse only to realize that they're not ready yet. And what are you going to do about that? Right? So it is a numbers game. So that's what I say. You need 100 quality looks, 20 in-depth analysis, 2 offers, and 1 close. There are tools that you can use for nurturing. I strongly recommend CRMs like HubSpot, Pipedrive. Pipedrive is very inexpensive. We actually use Go High Level inside of our firm. And you need to understand that the touch points, it takes many touch points. In this crowded marketplace with a lot of buyers, sometimes sellers or brokers will not remember you after 2 to 3 touch points. Sometimes they will remember you after being in touch with them for months and sending a monthly email. That's how I gotten to know some of those buyers, is that they consistently email me something about themselves every month up to a year. Number 5 is you need to track and manage your deal flow. Now, your deal flow, you need to have a way to look at a deal right away and find out if it's worth anything. We have a tool that we call the Deal Analyzer 3.0, a tool that I built. It's taken me over 5 years to perfect it to the point that we have over 100 formulas that we can take a deal. So long as we have the confidential information memorandum, we have the 3 years preceding tax returns and the interim P&L and balance sheet. We can take that information with some key points from the SIM, throw it into our deal analyzer, and we have a pinpoint accurate business valuation within an hour for a newbie, 30 minutes for one of our seasoned students. Now, think about the power of getting a set of documents, turning around, getting a valuation, and giving feedback to the broker, whether you're gonna take that deal to the next level or you're gonna pass on it. Can you imagine how much powerful that feedback is? Because deals don't last days nowadays, they last hours. If you don't manage to get a deal, actually, the most recent acquisition or business that I transacted where I was the listing agent, the first day there were 100 NDA requests. The very, very first buyer that came in actually ended up closing on the deal. And that happened within 2 hours of me putting out a list to my buyers list. So keep that in mind. As you know, if you need help, reach out to me. I am a licensed mergers and acquisition specialist and broker, and I'm here to help you buy a profitable business. For a limited time, I'm giving away my Cash Flow Calculator 2.0. It has over 50 formulas and everything you need to know, from debt service coverage ratio, before debt service cash flow, post debt service cash flow, and a bunch of other variables that are key to understand the business valuation. You need this in order to make an offer. Also, I'm giving away my business buyer's checklist, which is a 6-page document that has over 100 steps that you need to follow in order to buy a business. Those are my gifts to you. Click on the links below.